Our first guest, so excited to do Sports Talk Radio off the top that he had to be here for the first segment. Titans head coach Mike Vrabel is here with us on 104.5 The Zone. Good morning, Mike.
Hi, buddy. How are you? Your producer's funny. He's like, yep, he's already yapping away. I'm like, of course he is.
What?
That's what he does.
What else am I supposed to do? I'm just supposed to sit here and read things?
No, it's perfect. Happy Friday.
Happy Friday to you. So how do you watch the Super Bowl when, obviously you're not preparing for football games or in a past life playing in them?
I mean, I think just as a fan, I think you try to watch and, try to, got a lot of respect for a lot of these guys in this game, especially the coaches. I was with Nick Sirianni at the end of my career, and he was an assistant wide receiver coach in Kansas City. And I've known Nick since then, and obviously spoken highly of Andy and his impact on me and our relationship. So, I think it starts there, and then a lot of the relationships that I have with the players on both sides.
You've prepared for both of these teams this season, and looking at the Chiefs, Mike. I mean, you guys have done as good a job at defending them as anybody in football. And when you talk to people around the league, they often bring up the idea that if they're just looking to watch some defensive concepts, see what other people are doing around the league, you're one of the teams that they watch. So when you're defending the kind of mind meld that quarterback and particularly that tight end have, what are the kind of challenges that the Eagles are going to have to face this weekend?
Well, the improv game that they have, the relationship, the timing. I think not only that, it's just when things go off schedule, the ability to turn it into a fast break and knowing when a guy is going to slam the brakes on, when he wants an alley-oop, when he wants a back shoulder. Those are the things that there's nobody that can coach that. Nobody's coaching that relationship and that understanding. It's two elite players that know where one's going to be. And again, it's not all that, but that's what you can't defend. Those are the things that you don't really have answers for.
And so, like, what are the keys in that moment? Because obviously you come into the week with certain defensive keys that are just overarching, and then you obviously prepare for the individual opponent.
Well, it's about the quarterback. It's about having guys that when it does go off schedule, Patrick is continuing to keep his eyes downfield. He will scramble and has shown the ability to come up huge. Obviously, that's been the thing that's gotten us and, got Cincinnati at the end of the game. I know the penalty, but it's that the last minute it turns into let's see what I can get with my legs. So having somebody that can come out of coverage or be a second contained player that speeds his clock up and doesn't let him continue to press the line of scrimmage and force guys to stay in coverage.
Titans head coach Mike Vrabel is here with us this morning on 104.5 The Zone, talking a little Super Bowl. We'll get into the coaching staff changes that the Titans made here in just a little bit. On the other side of things, I know a lot of discussion is going to be had about the Kelsey Bowl or whatever you want to call it, but like Jason Kelsey is such a unique player at that position, especially within this offense. How versatile does a player like that, who almost, I don't want to call him one of one, but does seem really, really unique in terms of his athletic gifts and just how quickly he gets his job done at the line of scrimmage?
Well, you look at the size, and obviously doesn't have great size for the position, but has unbelievable quickness, power. And the thing that goes unnoticed is the technique. He's so strong. He doesn't have great length, but rarely do you not see his hands inside. He's got great grip strength. And, so we've always said that when talented players play with really good fundamentals and effort, they become elite. And so that's where you see, Jason.
So for you guys, obviously you've already given the press conference this week and all the different coaching staff changes that were made. When you went through your process, particularly with offensive coordinator, Mike, how many people did you interview for that position?
I would say that there was at least 6 people that we spoke with at length. I would say That's probably a good number.
And so when you talk to the six people and kind of had those ideas presented to you and essentially through the interview process, a pitch meeting, for lack of a better term, how valuable was that information gathering before you ultimately decided to promote Tim?
I mean, it's a long process. I mean, you're just trying to get it right. You're trying to get it right for the football team and the vision, and to be able to work with players and to teach, to develop the ones that we have, and then, outside of that, right, having a great feel for the game plan, and then getting into the game and calling a game and being able to adjust and just have a good feel for things. So, you talk to a lot of different people. You spend a lot of time with the people that you're interviewing, to see what their feeling is and how they feel about the job, how they view the job, and what they've done in the past, what they would want to change, what they've learned from different experiences that they've had, people that they've learned from. You talk to people with experience. You talk to people that don't have as much experience, that maybe aren't as experienced of a play caller, and you try to just cast a wide net with all these different positions.
Titans head coach Mike Vrabel here with us on 104.5 The Zone. So, I mean, I asked you earlier in the week about the value of institutional knowledge, and you basically said, well, yeah, that's the goal. And I don't know why that, prior to talking to you about it, seemed like counterintuitive, the idea of a coaching feeder system, for lack of a better term. But, I mean, how big a part of that is this for you?
Well, I mean, you're trying to build a program. I mean, that's the whole goal. I mean, we talked about outside of winning championships, trying to hire great people at every level. Speaking with Amy and Burke and Rand and, the people that we want to hire throughout our building. We want to hire great people, extremely qualified people, and allow them to excel at their job and to grow, and then identify when, they've done that or haven't done that or haven't shown the ability to grow, and then make it, then move in a different direction. So I think that it's critical. And if it works, great. And then if you have to replace some guys, or you have to be able to add other pieces, great. But I think it starts there. I think it starts with, with what we have there. I mean, one of the best interviews that we had, the best interview, obviously, was Jason Hotali, our offensive line coach. He's been here 2 years. He knows, what he wants to do, what he's learned, what he doesn't want to do, changes that he wants to make. No different than, when I was at Ohio State, and I learned like how I wanted to do things and what I didn't want to do. I learned a lot from Urban Meyer and learned a lot of what I didn't want to do. And, whether that's carried on to Houston or that was going to be staying at Ohio State. Those are things that you do. You always respect what the direction of the program and what the head coach wants. But in the back of your mind, you're always like, well, if I had an opportunity to do it differently, this is what I would do. And, we had some coaches that we were able to move around into new positions.
For you guys, it seems like this is as big as the staff has been, though. I mean, that requires additional investment, one would think, from ownership. How supportive has Amy been in that role?
She's been amazing. She's been amazing through everything, with our building construction, with our facility, with our fields. Looking out here and continuing to put the best product out there on our fields, on our practice fields for our players. The staff, and it's always, if it's going to help us win, her and everyone else is all in favor of it.
Titans head coach Mike Vrabel is here with us on 104.5. This is a very professional interview, by the way. I'm surprised this is his point counterpoint.
You started it out this way. I'm just feeding off of you.
Well, the Pro Football Hall of Fame.
I can go in any direction you want.
Oh God. Well, I don't know what kind of direction do you want to go in on a Friday morning.
Should we tell the story how your group texted me in about, and then how I threatened to? No, we won't go there.
I was about to say, do you want to get into the details on that? I don't know who that benefits more in this situation.
People won't know that I'm joking.
Well,
People
that's
won't
because I don't
understand
think
that I'm
you
joking.
are. I don't think that didn't come off as a joke to me necessarily, but yeah, of course.
Correct. I always just rely on that. Like, oh no, I was just kidding. I wasn't being serious.
It's what coaches call turning the page at that point. Yeah, no, always. I think, have you ever done something like that? There's no way that you haven't texted the wrong person in your life. There's no way.
I mean, maybe, but I mean, not a head coach.
Not a group text with Lucas, Mike Vrabel, and Greg Cosell. An interesting combination, certainly. One I do want to ask you about, though, a change that you guys made, Mike, and brought up by a lot of people who have been a part of your organization for a long time in terms of former players. Haas, the equipment manager who you guys parted ways with before the season started. Could you provide any more context to why you guys made that decision?
We didn't renew his contract. Not going to talk about, personnel and the rest of the staff or anybody that's not here. We're really appreciated everything that he's done and, was able to communicate that with him. So excited about, the people that are here now and moving forward.
NFL honors last night. Coach Mike Vrabel here with us on 104.5 The Zone. The class of 2023 officially announced. A lot of these guys who I know you've been familiar with across the course of your career, a lot of guys have been waiting to get in for quite some time. Was there anybody in particular who you were happy to see finally get into the Hall of Fame?
I think Zach Thomas, is somebody that I've always had a great affinity for. He was actually in training camp with me with the Chiefs, and saw him at the end of his career and really got to know. We were roommates. And in training camp, and just an unbelievable guy. We were a lot of mutual friends up until that point, and so just what he was able to do at that position and his productivity and his ability to go find the football and make plays, and it was so impressive. What's Andre Johnson got to do?
Andre Johnson?
Yeah.
Yeah, but there's such a logjam at the wide receiver position.
I don't follow it. There is a logjam. There's other guys that got to go in.
Well, it's so hard because you've got so many great names like Andre Johnson, and obviously, doing it in the AFC South for as long as he did. But with the way that the statistical numbers have inflated, it's almost. I mean, how long did it take T.O. to get in? For God's sakes.
Right. I mean, I guess. I mean, I don't know how a lot of this works, and so I mean, I know some whatever.
Hey, why aren't you talked about?
Somebody voted the trainer, which is amazing, and if he saved Damar's life, he should be recognized. But the media person that voted the trainer for league MVP, didn't that happen last night?
Yeah, Susie Colbert at ESPN. That was a part of it.
Susie gave him a fifth place vote.
Yeah, that's who, or at least that's what it was reported by Adam Schefter. I don't know that Susie's copped to it on Twitter or anything like that.
What are your thoughts on that?
I appreciate the symbolism of it because obviously that's something that, that sent seismic shifts throughout not just sports but like society with how hard that all hit us. And obviously, fortunately, it seems like he's at least on track to being in a better place from a health standpoint. But when
look at him, it's amazing. His impact and everybody else. And, I felt like everybody responded to the exact way that they were supposed to respond. The first responders, the training staff, the doctors, the players, the ability for them to just show raw emotion, the coaches, Sean and Zach, the way that they supported their teams and their leadership, that was obviously it was tragic, but it was just amazing to see how everybody responded, I think, in the proper way.
This is absolutely hilarious. Your phone line is going robo Mike on us. You sound like Terry McCormick on a Zoom call.
Oh my God, I'm sorry. I should have called from my landline. I'm sorry, dude.
No, you're fine. It's only like the last couple of seconds. Going back to Zach Thomas though, How much has that position had to evolve, Mike? I mean, obviously the rule changes and stuff
Yeah.
like that, but it's so different in terms of not just physically the players, but what their responsibilities ultimately
Yeah,
are.
they're just getting stretched so much more in coverage. You know, what I mean, the zone coverage, they got to cover so much more ground down the field for things to work. Their ability to match up on these running backs or change of pace backs. The run schemes are different. You know, it's sideline to sideline. It's vertical and horizontal distance that they got to cover. The athleticism, the ability to stay on their feet and tackle in space is just so much different.
You brought up earlier, and what, by the way, what time I got to get you out of here?
Buddy, I'm free. We got about 3 players in the building. They're rehabbing, so coaching sucks without players.
Well, I mean, and you really seem to relish that part of it. Like it is ultimately a teaching role, but I mean that seems to be the thing that, at least from observation standpoint, that really kind of drives you in all of this. Yeah.
Well, I mean, I love building relationships with them, trying to figure out what we can do to help them and make them better, but then also watching that development and taking satisfaction and knowing that you helped a guy get better at something, mentally, physically, emotionally, whatever that may be. We believe strongly in that.
Who was that guy for you this year? And I'm sure it's not just one individual, given the amount of players that you're having to work with. But is there a case that stands out?
I mean, I think we all worked hard at Traylon's development. Where he was to begin. And then what we think he will be. I mean, there's examples all over the place. Whether that's young defensive linemen. I think that it's been really cool to see Tart and his development over the years. That Terrell and Clint and everybody has made on him, and conditioning and strength and conditioning. You have a relationship with all the players, and they're all different. I mean, all the relationships are somewhat different. So we'll keep pushing at it and kind of figure it out and make it work and put the time in.
Titans head coach Mike Vrabel with us on 104.5 The Zone. You brought up earlier one of the calls in the Cincinnati-Kansas City game, and being on the competition committee, Mike, no, I don't think people on the outside really understand how that works. Like, just generally what the operational part of that is and your responsibilities within that. Because I know everybody, at least in your world, is just looking for more consistency in the calls more than anything else. Kind of what are the, without as much detail as you're willing to give, kind of what is that process like to work through from your end?
So, it's good. It's a good process. I mean, it's, we're trying to do things that help the game. And when you talk about officiating, with the way that the game is viewed by our fans and the people that cover our game, there's so many camera angles in a primetime game. The ability to slow things down, and I understand and recognize that you can't officiate a game in replay, but I do think there's ways that we can continue to help ourselves and make our game better by the replay assist system, which we've used, and continue to make that person a part of the officiating staff. But there'll be proposals that people will bring up. We'll look and talk about the officiating department and look at clarifications, terminology, how we want to continue to teach our officials, look at mechanics. So it's a good process. I'm going to continue to try to help in any way that I can.
Mike, Buck is just boring the both of us at this point, so I have a quick one for you.
Sure.
A couple of years ago, during the COVID draft, or in the lead up to the COVID draft, there's no sports going on. ESPN was playing a replay of the 2005 NFL draft where you were included on a player panel with Rodney Harrison, a couple other Patriots players at the time, talking about the hiring of Romeo Crennel, I believe, as the Browns coach at the time. So I'm curious if there is a future as an analyst in your career.
Yeah, as soon as they run me out of here, I'm sure. No, I don't know. I mean, I'm going to leave that one alone. I don't know. How was I? I was probably terrible.
It was pretty good.
I was still playing.
I mean, you were next to Rodney Harrison, who's kind of crushing that role right now.
He literally he texted me this morning, Mike, and said he was so good on that panel. What did you guys do to him to make him look so miserable in press conferences?
They show up. That's what they do.
Yeah, I attribute most of that to Buck.
They show up. They show up in their stupid shirts in training camp, and it's like they're all on vacation and we're here working.
Stupid shirts.
He's talking about you.
No, have you seen? Listen, this man has like the same version of like 3 shirts that he wears every day to these press conferences. Who are you giving fashion criticism to? Are you kidding me?
I mean, you're trying to bring back the Greg Norman shark look from the 90s. You know what I mean? Or those. I love those golf shirts.
I had to Google that reference the first time you made it to me because I was born in the 90s, all right? I'm not
And how did I do? Was I spot on?
It honestly hurt how close you cut me with that one at this point.
It wasn't like I was making it up. It's a legitimate. It's like that's what those shirts were.
No,
they look good on you. You know what I mean? It's okay.
Titans head coach Mike Vrabel, kind enough to give us some of his time this morning. Mike, enjoy the weekend, enjoy the football, and I appreciate you being diplomatic on this. It's always enjoyable to have you on.
This went 20 minutes too long, Buck, but I appreciate you.
You're going to be all right. Mike Vrabel there with us on 104.5 The Zone.